Good evening. Good evening and welcome to our June meeting. We appreciate everybody's attendance, and I'm going to call this meeting to order. I call this meeting of the Bastrop Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Texas Pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Remain standing, please. I'd like to call Reverend Bob Long up of the Bastrop Ministerial Alliance, and he's going to offer our opening prayer tonight. Thank you for being here.
Hopefully. Before I do that, I'd like to thank the school board and Superintendent Murray for our baccalaureate service, and our principals were there. I thought it was a great service, voluntary service for our youth that are in faith, and I just appreciate you having it each year. Like Superintendent said, not every school district does it, and we in the Ministerial Alliance want to thank you.
Thank you.
Let's pray. Lord God in heaven, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for this board meeting tonight. We ask that you guide it. We ask that the decisions that are made here tonight would be guided by you and honor you. Bless the school board. Be with our superintendent and principals and leaders of the school that are here. And all those that will be making presentations, we ask that you lead that also. Lord, we're mindful as the school year ends that the reason that we have a school is for our youth, and they are out of school, many of them. Lord, we ask that you keep them safe this summer and keep them involved and focused on good things and godly things, that they may return. And those who are going on, bless them and guide them and direct them, each one. Again, we thank you for our school district and all the activities in it. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
Yeah.
This time I'd like to call up Justin Palacios. Justin, can you come forward, please? He didn't know, Okay. We usually have a character education trait for June is actually honor, and we usually have one of the children come in. So it looks like he's either running a little late. If he comes in late, we're going to slide him in a little bit later. So if somebody will let us know if he gets here. I know Mr. Hallemeck's out in the hallway. So we'll move on. We're going to do some recognitions before we get to open forum. We'll start with Donald Williams.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Tonight we want to come and recognize our community partner for 2013-2014, this past school year. These are individuals that came in to our school district and have done a tremendous job as far as supporting our campuses, supporting our students, supporting our faculty and staff. But more importantly, one of the big events that they were involved in with us was our Stuff the Bus program. This is a program in which we give out, this past year we gave out right at 1,000 backpacks to individual students in our school district that were in need. It was an amazing event, and if you individuals were not able to come and be a part of it, or even if you were, to be able to see the smiles on the faces of the students and also of the family members, it was amazing. And we had this event out at the Bastrop Memorial Stadium, and the lines were wrapped literally almost all around the front entryway of that stadium. So it spoke to the need, and it's something that we're going to look at doing again this year moving forward. And our community partner of the year has said, what can we do? Even in the midst of their major reconstruction that they're having, they're saying, what can we do? And it speaks to the caliber of individuals that we have at our local HEB. And I'm giving it away, and it's kind of displayed up there at our local HEB. And at this time, I'm going to ask our community liaison and our Partners in Education coordinator, Lori Anzadul, to be able to come, speak, and also introduce these individuals. Lori?
Just want to reiterate what Donald said, what a big part HEB has done. They did a huge sausage sale with us last summer. We're going to do that again, even with all the construction. Talked about not only one bus, but maybe even 2 buses this year to get the word out for Stuff the Bus. They continue to do whatever we ask them and come up with their own ideas. And I just want to call up Ray Alvarado, Joe Franco, David Seeker, and Rogine Snyder to accept the award.
I'm going to take a picture, and also, before I take a picture, would you guys like to say a few words?
Real briefly, just going to say that in the course of the year, there's a lot of things that we have to do as a community, as a partner to the community. This is one of the things we really enjoy doing. It's one of those things we feel like it's part of who we are and part of who we want to be. I just want to say mostly to the people that have been driving this for the last few years, and I want to give them the credit for it, and that's Rogine Snyder is the one that's really pushed it, and Joe Franco, and I just get all the credit for it. So I do want to thank them publicly for all the things that they do to make this happen every year. But this is
It really merits saying again, even in the midst of the major overhaul that's taking place with HEB right now, they've committed to saying we're going to continue to step up. So this is an important endeavor as far as helping the needy kids of our school district. And they're going to do it again this year. They vowed bigger and better.
Absolutely.
Do that. So with that, we so appreciate you. And Mr. Murray, if you can come around and take a quick photo with them, I really appreciate it. And if we can line up kind of right in this area right here, it'd be great. Thank you.
Now we will move to our open forum portion. The board encourages comments from citizens of the district. Anyone wishing to speak, either as an individual or as a representative of a group, may do so. The board asks that comments pertain to public education and be no longer than 3 minutes. And also understand that we may or may not be able to respond based on our agenda that's set. So first of all, I'd like to call up Douglas Orsack.
How y'all doing?
Hi.
My name's Douglas Orsack. I've been working for the school for 14 years. I'm a maintenance electrician right now, and I was just speaking up for the maintenance personnel, the custodial personnel, about how fast this outsourcing has come up and what we have got to go through to adjust to this. We've been working hard, and you know, it's as fast as it came up. The vacation thing. We don't know who's going to be. We're going to be working for. A lot of the information like off time, the holidays. We have no idea. They say we're going to get the same pay, and I hope that works. You know, we saved the school lots of money in ourselves, and they're bringing in people that are going to help the school. But I'm thinking it could have been a different way, in my opinion. You know, instead of jumping in with both feet, going 5 years, just 1 year, test the waters. You know, instead of going to custodial grounds maintenance, they could have, you know, started out 1 year, you know, custodial, see how everything works. I know they want to jump into maintenance. This is going to be the flagship of maintenance. This is going to be the first time it's done here in Bastrop. And what we do is really hard for me to understand that they know what we do. we do a lot. It's not written down on paper. We go into classes, we say, you know, we go to the office, what do y'all have? And we'll go out there and we'll change the light bulb, and the next thing you go out in the hallway, they got something else to do. Nobody's really talked to us about what we do as electricians, plumbers, you know, everybody that working in the maintenance field. So it makes it hard for me to understand how they could take over and do it for a $450,000 savings, which I don't know where that's coming from other than maybe our pockets. But, you know, I'm not disgruntled. I'm probably the last one to be talking about this. But it's just how quick it came up. There was no time for us to, a lot of us have a lot of vacations saved up. I would have liked to used it. We save it up to when we get injured, back injuries, knee replacements, and that's what we save that up to use just in case something like that happens. Well, that's all gone now. They're going to give us, pay 50% of that. The rest of it, you know, I'm just speaking for everybody, and I think somebody needed to come up here and talk. And there's a lot more that I could say. I just got stage fright. I don't do this for a living, but you know, I feel sorry for the people that it's going to affect because they work hard. They're the lowest paid people here in this district. They're the hardest working people in this district. They're the custodians. They work hard. You know, believe it or not, maintenance does the same thing. We'll be out there in the heat. We do a lot of capital projects that I don't know if this maintenance company that's going to take over is going to be able to do. Like putting lights up on the field parking lot, that's what was going to be wiring up these portables. You know, just this is on my electrical half, and I would like to know more information about this new company. Nobody's really talked to us about it. I don't know. I want to take my kids on vacation in the middle of July. I don't know if that's happening now. You know, nobody's told me anything. Nobody's told anything to the maintenance. There's a lot of people in the custodial staff that still they don't know what's going on. It hasn't really been explained to them, and I've asked them, and I've gotten a lot of answers that, no, that's not what's happening. This is what's happening. And if we had more time to transgress into this instead of just jumping in there. We learned about it a week ago. That's it. And you know, 1 week to make this decision is just not, it just doesn't seem fair to us. There's a lot of disgruntled employees now, but you know, that's what happens. It's just, I would like to have a little bit more time. But I don't think I used up my 3 minutes, but I said my piece. All right.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Orsack.
All right, thank you. Good job, Doug.
Now I'd like to ask Sam Spangler to come up.
Ladies and gentlemen, Superintendent, I'm going to have to read my notes because that's just the way I do that. I'd like to speak to some concerns about the proposed outsourcing of the housekeeping, lawn, athletic, field service, and maintenance department. 25-year employee, some thoughts. BISD last year, Energy Ed proposed to save us millions of dollars over 10 years on our utility bills. A mechanical engineer, electrical engineer was called in to evaluate our performance using square footage and the dollar cost as the criteria. The results were exactly as we already knew because of the work of 2 individuals in the maintenance department being diligent and setting AC scheduling. The engineer determined that no significant savings were possible at this time. The work proposed by that company was already being done for years. We have other talented licensed individuals that have the same level of commitment in their areas of expertise. While I agree that outsourcing the maintenance department could save money, it will also reduce the functionality that we now have. The BISD maintenance department has for years sought out qualified persons to do the work that we have been tasked with. Other large school districts have a maintenance department and a separate construction department. BISD has used the combined concept for over 25 years that I've worked here. At this time, we have the capacity to build any number of projects. One example recently was Cedar Creek High School greenhouse. We prepped the ground, poured concrete, sidewalks, brought power over to it, built a power rack, set a transformer, put the gas heat, the piping to the propane tank, potable water, wastewater pump to the main building, and put the building up. That was all in-house. In the past, we put in a 75 kW emergency generator for the IT department. We've built portable buildings, power for Cedar Creek Middle, Bastrop Middle, football field lights, power racks, communications, networks to portables, fiber optic cabling for the IT department, build desks, etc. A whole list of things. This is just a sampling. I mentioned these things to help you to visualize just a part of what we actually do. We were informed Wednesday of last week that the proposed changes, in a brief outline of the changes it would bring. Just one, certainly not the only of the concerns, was the treatment of the vacation days earned by our group. After working all year and then being informed that half pay will be offered instead of the days off, it feels like a serious breach of trust. Our employee handbook gives a list of the benefits that we accrue, and yet when it comes time for vacation, the maintenance budget can come down, but not without a service cost. If we are outsourced, then the in-house project will go to the contract service budget, greatly increasing that line item. As Doug spoke to, the time that this came up, the apparent immediacy of it does not allow the employees to use up the time that they have accrued, have earned, have been promised by BISD. If it in fact must be outsourced, then I would propose that a more suitable date, September 1, January 1, next year, whatever. I just need to convey these things. I'm not a public speaker, and I'm doing the best I can, and I agree with Doug, I'm a little nervous. But that pretty well concludes my remarks. Thank you.
Fine. Thank you. We have one more speaker tonight. It's going to be, looks like Miss Sandra Locks. Is that right?
Hi,
Hi.
I'm not an employee for BISD. I'm a community member. But I know a lot of these people, and I know how hard these people have worked for this school, what they've put into the school, what they've done for the school. This has been their life. I work with children, and so we're trying to teach our children that if you work hard, you can get what you want. But I think what the school board, or what the school here is showing, that no, you can't. You can work hard and you're still not going to get what you want, because we're taking away your retirement. We're taking away your vacation time. We're taking away these things that you've earned. And we're just saying, hey, but we're going to save some money, and that's all in good to save that money. And that's great, because I'm a taxpayer here. I'd like to save money. But do we save that money on the back of your employees? Do we save the money, the people that have put everything in their lives into this school? I mean, you have a lot of people have worked here for years and years and years that have put their whole lives into this. This is what they know. And all of a sudden it's outsourced, and it's not just that it's outsourced. It's that a week ago, someone says, you're being outsourced, and this is what we're going to do, and this is going to be good for you. But if you were in their position, if you were in that job, how good would you think that was going to be for you? I don't think anybody here would think that would be good for them. So before you take your vote tonight, and I'm really scared because I think just the way things have come down, decisions already been made, but I really hope that you stop and think about it. This is Bastrop. This is a community. It's always been a community. It's what we do. People come together here to help each other, to put time into this. I just hope you think about that before you make this vote. And I agree with everyone. If you think you have to outsource, put some time in it. I don't understand why this came so quick, and there's nothing. Nobody talked to the employees, the ones that do the work, the ones that are out there doing this. Nobody went and said, what do you think? What could we do better? What could we do? It just came in, and this is what it is, and accept it. I don't know. I just think that as a community member, I've talked to a lot of, it's just not me, I've talked to a lot of people in the community through my job, through, I work with a lot of people in the courts, in the law enforcement, with all of them, and everyone. I mean, they're not here right now because everybody has jobs they got, especially in the line of work that they're doing, but people don't agree with this. They think it's wrong. They think that this is just the way it came about. It's just wrong. So I really hope that you, when you vote, that you think about that you think about what is happening to these people. People have worked here for years now, not going to have retirement anymore. That's what they work for. They don't pay Social Security because they depended on teacher retirement. Now they don't have it. It's just wrong. Thank you.
Now we're going to move on to our superintendent's report and board discussion. Item 2. That's all the blue sheets I have.
Good evening, members of the board and Mr. Murray. I'm here to present to the board the activities for the SHAC committee. That's the Student Health Advisory Council and what we did the past year. It's a requirement that I come and let you know what we did this past year. We had a fitness gram presentation by Joe and Joanne Villarreal. We also had drug and alcohol awareness by Carolyn Green. And Diana Bliss from Chartwells also did a presentation for us on the National School Lunch Program. One of our big events that we held this year, that was sponsored by the SHAC Committee, was a presentation at the Performing Arts Center on the Weight of the Nation, Children in Crisis. It was an HBO video. In a very short description of what that video was about, it included childhood obesity and some of the complications that come from that for our children, as far as heart disease and diabetes and high blood pressure and asthma, and some of the things that parents and school districts can put into place to help alleviate that. One of the alarming things that came out of that is that experts fear that this might be the first generation of American children will have a shorter life expectancy than their parents due to obesity and lack of exercise. At that presentation, we had 64 parents and employees attend, which was wonderful. We had an expert panel that held a discussion after the video presentation. Henry Gideon was one of our experts, along with Diana Rios, our head nurse, Clifton Ames, our director of child nutrition, Molly Platts, who was a dietitian from Chartwells, and we also had Dr. Neil Spears, who was a pediatrician, who took questions and had discussion after the video. We also had a survey, and one of the questions was, did you learn something new from the video? And 93% said yes. Another question was, will you use this information to make healthier choices for yourself and your family? 100% said yes. And 73% said that they would like more information on the topic. So the SHAC committee is going to kind of follow through with this theme next year and see what we can do as far as continuing to provide education and information for the district and parents in that area. So some of the comments on the survey, one parent put, as a parent, this information was very valuable. This was very eye-opening. This was a great presentation. And one of my favorite comments, and I'll end with this, was somebody said, new parents should have to watch this before leaving the hospital. Thank you.
Thank you, Tessie.
We're going to move on to item 3. It's our consent agenda. Is there any board member that'd like to pull anything off the consent agenda? If not, we will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, right hand. Motion carries. We're going to move to item 4, action items. We're going to go ahead and pull E up for time purposes. There's a lot of folks here in reference to item E, so we'll go ahead and start with that, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. You know, Mr. Gideon's going to come forth and make a recommendation statement in a minute, but I do want to make a few comments, and I appreciate the comments that were made during public forum. I know we're not allowed to respond to the comments in public forum at any time during that time, but I can certainly refer back to some of the comments along with some other things I wanted to mention. First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody. I know it's been a short timeline, and I know a lot of work has been done with communication with questions and answers. I know people in the staff have had a lot of questions. And they've been able to get those questions to our trustees, and our trustees have been very good about listening and trying to get as many answers as possible. We spent a lot of time with the board of trustees and other folks trying to answer all their questions. You know, there's been a lot of research and vetting that's gone on here. I know a lot of people have sent out some information about things that they've heard, seen, whether it be on the internet or social media or whatnot. We certainly looked at those things. We've also looked and talked to references from folks who have worked for many years with the company that's being considered tonight, GCA. So we also, and this is reference, I want to make a specific reference because it's been talked about, and certainly it's important to me because the last thing I would ever do is put this district in legal jeopardy. The bid process is a little different here because we have, for many years, as Sandra could tell you, have been a member of many co-ops, purchasing co-ops. Buy Board is one of them. There's also the Region 7 purchasing co-op, and because we are a longtime member of the Region 7 co-op, we're able to customize our bid process with vendors such as GCA. And that was the case here. I know there's some folks saying that even through the normal bid process, actually if we'd gone through the normal bid process, we would lose out quite a bit on the things that we were able to put in the contract to benefit our staff and our district. So I know that's not necessarily understood by everybody, but I think it bears mentioning that we went through that process because we were, again, be able to customize the process and the bid and our contract negotiation with GCA. You know, I want to speak to some of the things that were talked about because I think they were very good comments. And I understand the last speaker talking about taking away retirement. I know there's some decisions that need to be made. There's a lot of information still needs to be gathered and given to us by TRS. I understand that if we go forward with the contract tonight, that there's a function already planned tomorrow, and there's, or at least I know sometime this week, and there's TRS representative from Austin will be here to speak to our folks. There's also mention about the 1 year, the 5 year. While we have a 5-year contract, and that's what's being put forth, it doesn't mean we're locked in for 5 years. Just like our outsourcing contract for transportation with Gold Star, just like ours for child nutrition with Chartwells, while it may have a time period, whether it be 1 to 3 to 5 years or 2 years, whatever the case may be, we always have an out clause. So if, and I've made this very clear to the gentleman from GCA, just like I made it very clear a while back in a very serious conversation I had with some folks from Chartwells. We have high expectations. We expect certain things, not only in our performance. The money savings to me is a secondary issue, but our performance and how we move forward in all these areas, including if we go forward with GCA. And if I feel at any time we're not living up to the expectations that were set forth in the contract negotiation, then we've got the ability to go away from that partnership. So I just want to speak to that because I know that there was the issue of 5 year. It seemed like people might assume that we're locked in. We're not locked in. Most of our contracts of this nature have a 30 or 60-day out clause. And that keeps the accountability on the folks that are working with us in partnership, our vendors, just like it keeps accountability for us as well. Also, there was, not tonight, but I've heard many things, as you can imagine. I heard about the issue of family and you see I put emails out all the time to the BISD staff family. When I do that, I'm sending it out to everybody. I send it out to Chartwells. I send it out to Gold Star. If we contract with these folks or anybody else, I'd send it out to the folks who would be managed by that company. It doesn't mean that they're not part of our BISD staff family. So I understand that people think that if we have a management contract, they're not part of our BISD family. That's not the case. It's still part of our family because you serve the district, and we appreciate the things that you have done, and we'll appreciate the things you do going forward in the future. Again, we want to have a situation, if we go forward with this contract, where it's, I don't use this term a lot, you hear it a lot, it's probably overused, but a win-win. It doesn't appear in some people's minds to look like that right now, but I can tell you right now, and the gentlemen who are going to be up here in a second, and they're going to have the opportunity to answer any questions the board might pose to them about this pending contract, they can tell you about some of the conversations I've had with them, about how serious I've been about my expectation that our staff be taken care of, that they do whatever they can to make sure those folks feel valued and, again, still feel part of our family, even though they might have GCA on a patch on their shirt. They're still serving our children, our staff, and our patrons here in Bastrop ISD. So I've made it very clear to the folks from GCA that we care about our folks, and management or not, by another source, we want them to be taken care of. And the contract is the way it is because we structured it to take on those 260-day work agreements, to take on those days of paid vacation, paid sick leave, paid holidays that you don't see in many districts that we had existing here. So that was structured in the contract because we know those things are important. So again, before we get these folks up, we're going to ask them to come forward at this time, the folks from GCA. I know there might be some questions that the board might want to ask them. I might ask them some questions as well. And I know Henry's got a, gentlemen, if you come forward, please. I know Henry's got a recommendation statement he may make in a minute here as well.
I've got a portable mic if y'all want. Okay. Richard, I'll let you introduce your team. Okay. And then this is yours. Okay, thank you. Just want to stand up and address it with your mouth.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Thank you, Board. Good to see you again. To my left here is Dub Spencer, and then our Regional Vice President, Myron Lukenbach. Again, we are excited to be here for the possibility of partnering with the district, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have for us.
Yeah, I'm going to ask the first question, and it's really a statement, and it's a restatement, Mr. Wells. I'm going to ask you to speak to what I just spoke to. A lot of things have been talked about, a lot of things have heard, a lot of things have been misstated, and you heard one of the folks say that they don't have a whole lot of information. But I want to hear from GCA in front of these folks that took time to be here tonight about how you value what they've done for us to this point for many years and what they may do if they become GCA employees.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Murray. We're only as successful as our employees in each district. We've been successful in this. We have over 220 districts nationwide. So it tells you that we don't come in and just let loose the employees. We need them. They are the assets, the only assets we would have coming into Bastrop, besides our equipment we'd bring in. We absolutely need them to tell us the idiosyncrasies of each school, each building, the principal, their personality, etc. And we absolutely would love to partner with you and move forward in the process of getting to know these as well as some of these employees.
Can you speak specifically to some of the things that they talked about as far as the benefits?
Yes, sir.
The same with
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You and Mr. Gideon and Mr. Edwards made it clear that nothing was going to be on the backs of the custodians and the maintenance workers and the grounds workers, and we agree with that. They're going to have they're getting paid the same number of days that they're currently being paid for by Bastrop ISD, which is going to be the full 260. They're going to be paid 10 leave days, 10 holidays, and then 10 other days, so 30 days total, which is currently what they have with the district. So I heard a gentleman earlier say that if he has a if he scheduled a vacation with his son or his family in July, is going to be able to take it? The answer is absolutely he's going to be able to take it. We think that's important, that they maintain everything that they currently have now, and that's the way that you structured the contract as well as Mr. Gideon.
Let me just remind, we cannot entertain questions or comments from the audience, but we appreciate the concern that they have. That's why I'm asking for it.
Yes, sir.
I know this, I think that the statement was made, you're going to get it in writing.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, there's work agreements that GCA will have with our folks here. if they
Absolutely.
become GCA employees.
Absolutely.
So I know that's a big concern of theirs. I don't want to monopolize this. If the board has questions, I want to give them a chance to ask questions.
Well, one of the comments I'll make is going into this, they told us that they were going to retain 100% of the employees at their current wage, and that's pretty important to us because a lot of people have worked their way up, and we want them treated fair. We did this with our transportation system. We did this with our food service, and it was people were nervous, just like everybody here. When there's change, there's nervous. So I want you to maybe speak to that because anytime there is change, there's going to be nervous. These people mean a lot to the district. We want them treated like family. So I think it's important. 5 years keeps coming up. Make sure that you understand that all contracts are negotiated on an annual basis. If somebody is not performing up to par, then there's tough conversations had. So, and these folks know that, obviously. So I just want you to, this is family. That's how it's been done. Some nervousness going on. Can you give them an idea of what has happened in the past when you did this transition with another district? Obviously, it's been nervous before with the employees. Tell them, give us a little bit on the transition and so forth.
I'm going to have Dub answer that. He's our
Okay.
operations.
About 20 years ago, I stood in a room much like this in Plano, Texas, and we were acquiring the custodial staff at that time. We had outsourced a few buildings, and we'd done a pretty good job, and the district came to us and said, would you take the rest of them? Would you move all the custodians to your staff? And we did. 2 weeks ago on a Sunday afternoon, I attended a funeral for one of those guys. He was 85 years old. So we took care of those people, and we still will work with those people. And I think we've done this in a lot of different occasions. And I understand that what your question, although you didn't really ask the question about will we put it in writing, I think the first thing I'd do would be to ask Mr. Gideon and Mr. Tom back there, would they do that? And if they'll do that, then we'll do that. I think that's one of the interesting things about this is management is going to be kept in place. And that's a great thing for us because we're coming to the table with some experienced people. We should do a great job. And I think we're going to rely on the in-house management a lot. So we'll be working with hand in glove with Henry and with Tom and with the whole program. So and Alfred, I think one of the things that you'll find is when we tell you we'll do something, we'll do it. And I'm going to tell you this: I don't think that you'll be disappointed from this 5 years from now. And that's all. That's about all I can tell you, because what I tell you is my bond. So that's we have to get to that. But I do understand the discomfort that existing staff might have, and we will work very hard to make sure that everything is taken care of.
More questions for GCA?
Maybe you could talk a little bit about money that you're talking about savings, because these people are hardly the people that done a lot of the economized already to do, like they say, more than some job description, and they're not tied to just some job description. How can you possibly save money when you already have a group of hardworking people?
Yes, sir. We've detailed that, and we've been over the past 2 years' budgets with Mr. Gideon and Ms. Callahan, and we're guaranteeing that over up front of what we're saving, and we feel that we know that we can get your staff on board with us, and we can show them some efficiencies. I think the biggest thing that we're going to bring to the district that y'all really don't have the capability of is the $1 million worth of equipment. Obviously, that creates much more efficient work and makes a lot of things easier for all of your employees across the whole district, whether it be custodial workers, grounds workers, or maintenance workers. I think the biggest thing is efficiencies.
It's not out of pocket.
No, sir. That will not be out of pocket. No, sir.
I have a question for the local businesses in town that are currently vendors of the school district. Just an example of auto mechanic shop and also parts supply, be the lawnmower weed eaters, also car parts as well. Apparently the school's still doing business with them. Will y'all still be utilizing those local businesses?
Yes, sir.
I could, let me answer that. We do utilize, I mean, one of the things that was mentioned earlier is that somebody that we would bring in staff. Well, I'm not sure that would be a foolish move on our part. And the same theory applies to utilizing the local vendors. And so we have, the trucks will go to the same place to have the inspections done, the oil changes, things like that are being done locally in the community today. And I'm not sure how all that will work, but all those things that are done locally today will still be sourced from.
This may be a question for Henry as well. One of the things that was mentioned is a lot of these folks worked on capital improvement projects for us, so it's done in-house as more of a subcontractor, but it's the district's employees. So what's the plan moving forward if we do have small projects? Are these going to be bid out, or are we going to use the workforce that is there in place to do these small projects? Or has it been discussed?
It would look a lot like it is now. We do a lot of contracted service contracts where we do some outsourcing of contracts. And Sam was right earlier, there are many, many ways that the local team, because of their technical expertise, we can do things in-house. As I said the other night during the presentation, the proposal takes into account the 2015 board-approved budget as is, 100%, with the 6% pay raise, and is inclusive of those decision packages. Well, one of those decision packages is going to be some modifications that we're going to do in-house for the benefit of the Colorado College, or the Colorado River Collegiate Academy. And we do a lot of things such as hang our own camera systems. So I would expect that those kinds of things would continue. We also talked a little bit about that $5,000 capital marker, that if something goes beyond that, where it's just a general repair type of thing, then we're going to require the expertise of our local leadership that's going to still be in place, as well as the experts that come in to advise and help them improve the efficiencies here, to come to the table and give us options for how we might be able to do some contracted work that may be required. So if we have something like we had this year where we lost the Cedar Creek Middle School intercom system, that's a $25,000 unexpected hit, or $28,000 unexpected hit. It's not going to be captured in the budget because we wouldn't have budgeted for it. So we're going to look at life safety. We're going to look at other types of priorities in which we would have to come back to you guys with their expertise, utilizing the local team as we already do, to get fund balance monies if needed, or budget amendments as is required. So I would expect it to look a lot alike. I think there's going to be a lot of nuances in the weeds as we get to know one another as we work towards this transition. But we would definitely be able to do what we're doing now. And there's great talent here, great talent here.
Thank you, Henry.
Given this contract tonight, what is your timeline for people actually taking over
The start of the contract would be July 1. However, we have plans for our HR team a bunch of HR team individuals to be down here tomorrow morning, first thing. And then we're planning something in conjunction with Mr. Gideon, hopefully to do like a luncheon and do 2 separate groups, break them up into maintenance and grounds, and then also custodial. That way we can give them more of a one-on-one interaction instead of just having the masses come at once.
Could you tell us a little bit more about what you have proposed for tomorrow for informing the employees and alleviating some of the fears that we're hearing tonight?
Sure. Most of the questions I think that we'll have are HR issues. Now, I'm a pretty good operator. Myron's a pretty good operator, and Richard's a pretty good salesman. But I'm not a very good HR person, quite frankly. So we brought we'll have the experts here, and they can sit down. And we've done this one-on-one, and each person will sit down, and we'll talk about insurance. We'll talk about the different things that affect. There's a lot of questions tonight in mass, but everybody is only interested in one person, and that's themselves. And that's rightfully so. That's not unusual. I mean, and they want to make sure that their problems are solved, and that's what we want to do. We'll sit down and work through the process with them.
Thank you.
And Ms. McClure, I'd just like to add to that. I did speak to their head HR person today, and they have arranged to have a team out here, and they want to sit and talk to them as a group, and then they're going to have time to sit with every single individual to talk about their personal story, their personal situation, because as we've tried to describe to you before, when we talk about TRS benefits and those kinds of things, it's very personal to each person. And so what he assured me was that his team, he'd have enough staff here to sit with every individual employee and walk them through their pay, their benefits, and the options for the 401k and everything that goes with that. So I did address that today. Thank you.
Barry, also, for the benefit of the folks that were here on Thursday when we did a joint review and we talked about this and did the presentation, and I think it's important for folks in the audience that we refer to this specifically. You know, the reason we didn't do the 5-year and in as we've done in the past, we got some new information, new knowledge to TRS, and we don't want some people to be caught off guard. Can you speak to that?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Murray. As it's been well documented, when we did our transitions in the past, we put a 5-year window for our employees that we'd keep them on for TRS purposes so that they could reach, whether it's their 80-year benchmark or, combined years of service. However, in light of some new information or some information that we received from TRS recently, for us to do that would put employees eligible for retirement in jeopardy. It's not illegal, but what it would do is it makes Bastrop Independent School District and GCA a third-party contractor, which in turn, if a person retired, they'd be subject to the penalties, which means they could either sit out for 30 days and then only work part-time for a year, or they have to sit out an entire year before they can receive their benefits. And that's a huge responsibility. So what we've learned from that is that we have to outsource all 100%. And I do want to say, no employee in this room or through any outsourcing will lose their retirement. They'll have to make some decisions, no doubt. Some will be able to delay their retirement until their age picks up. Some may choose to go and be employed in another TRS paying organization. But I want to be very clear, no one loses their benefits. They can sit there until such time that they want to make a different decision.
Yeah, I think the main thing is not being caught off guard. That's what TRS really warned us about, is that if we went forward with partial outsourcing and left some people behind thinking that we were okay as we thought we were in the past, and then come back and catch them off guard and say that, no, you can't do that, and pull, like you said, pull their benefits.
That's correct.
And we didn't want that to happen.
Yes, sir.
If they leave tomorrow, I had a request that we have some bilingual speakers there, because there are several staff. Translation.
Yes, sir, Mr. Muchnick, and I'll make sure that we even have some of our staff there. These are people that they're comfortable with. A young lady in my office, Ms. Rodea, could be there to help them as well. Yes, sir.
Over half of the team will be bilingual.
Any other questions? If there's no questions, we'll we'll let Henry take the floor.
Members of the board, good evening. Some of my statement, which I'm going to read for precision purposes and ensure that there's clarity of the narrative that we've had here in talking with our colleagues in these departments, as well as with you, as well as with the public, are going to be somewhat redundant to some of the features that you've heard tonight. But if you don't mind, I normally would stand here extemporaneously when we do presentations. I'd like to read this. As has been our history, BISD has from time to time considered and successfully utilized outsourcing to gain efficiencies and savings. Last Thursday, you had the opportunity to hear a review of a proposal by GCS Services for the provision of maintenance, housekeeping, and ground services in support of providing safe and cleaning learning environments. Our guiding principles, as you heard earlier, in considering the viability of contracting these services included savings through efficiency, improvement of services, 100% of existing staff offered 100% of jobs at the same wages and comparable benefits, including health insurance, vacation, holiday, leave pay, 401k opportunities with match, along with what we presently do not offer under the BISD scenario is the Social Security opportunities that would present themselves in this model. We have conducted a very in-depth review and an assessment, as we discussed last Thursday in presentation, with the partnership experts, men and women who are operational experts and engineers in this field. It was not just with the sales colleagues, but rather people who climbed on the rooftops with us, looked at equipment, and went around throughout this district to help us decide if this was going to be viable. The many deliverables of this potential partnership can produce opportunities far beyond our current model, as is documented in the proposal and the corresponding contract, and far beyond potential savings. An area of particular interest to not only our employees but also to our taxpayers should be improved capacity to address deferred maintenance concerns. If we are able to take some of the savings as the board directs us and reinvest those savings, we may find efficiencies when we can replace older mechanical units that we may not be able to budget for in our current process. And therefore, the savings multiplier will maximize other opportunities to improve our services. Tonight, it is the administration's recommendation that the Board of Trustees approve the proposal presented by GCA Services to partner with the district, including the employees, in the outsourcing of maintenance, housekeeping, and grounds, and the execution of the contract pending final review by the superintendent and our legal counsel be effective July 1st, 2014.
Thank you, Henry.
Mr. President, upon the administration's recommendation, I move to approve the proposal presented by GCA Services to partner with the district in the outsourcing of maintenance, housekeeping, and grounds department, and the execution of the contract pending final review by the superintendent and legal counsel effective July 1st, 2014.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the proposal presented tonight by GCA Services as presented with the language that Henry spelled out. Is there any discussion?
I would just like to make a comment. As a newly elected board member, I just feel a responsibility to share with the community that when these types of decisions come up, for the board to look at and make a decision, there is a great deal of consideration. And all of the input that the community has sent for us to review, all of the information that the school district has researched, all of those things have been looked at very, very carefully, and I want to assure you of that, and weighed. And the things that we have concerns about are everyone's concerns. And the things that we have to look at, how will this affect the whole picture, the whole district, and the community. And I feel that I want to share that with you so that you understand that this has weighed on all of us. This is a difficult decision, but it is a decision that we have thought through. And when we place a vote, it's been with a great deal of consideration of our community and our school district in mind.
Thank you for your comment, Molly.
Mr. Allen, I'd like to also make a comment. There was some information shared with us as board members via different avenues. A lot of concerns about GCA services and some allegations that were out there. A lot of them were mainly internet-based. I can tell you that I spent probably close to 3 hours researching myself a lot of those items, if you want to call them that. GCA last Thursday provided us with a list of references and companies that they currently work for, and they've been through this transition. I will tell you that I was concerned by reading all the stuff I saw on the internet. So I went out and called every one of these that I could, and Henry did a great job of providing us with those same references. And of all the folks that I talked to, I got very positive reviews, and I talked to anybody that would listen, whether it was an operations manager that was internal to, one of them happened to be with UTSA in San Antonio, University of Texas, San Antonio. I talked with the girl that was behind the phone, the receptionist, and I can tell you that I was a little worried of what kind of feedback I would get. And I was very pleased to find out that they've lived up to all of their promises. And that was one of the things that they said. They said if they said they're going to do it, they do it. They promised it to the district, or they promised it to us, they did it. Henry got some feedback from some other administrators that are, school districts that had the same type of, they had concerns and they had some challenges. But GCA stepped up and they worked through those tough issues. I can tell you tomorrow, you're going to go in there and you're going to be scared to death, and there's going to be things that you may not like. But you have to give them the opportunity to do that and make things right for you. And that's assuming we get a vote here.
Thank you for your comment, David. Billy?
Just a quick comment. Coming from this a little differently, also as a new board member, I spent a lot of time with staff, senior staff, context of this decision and this process and comparing it to previous outsourcing events, and got educated in a lot of ways. But I first came to this decision, came to this issue more from the side of the employee, because this happened to me. I had a 15-year job. And I planned on being there for 20 to 25 years, and then I asked by my supervisor if I had a minute to talk to me, and that was the last minute I worked there. There was a hire back for me, and so what I thought was the end of my world turned out to be the beginning of a great adventure. And I would encourage anyone who's feeling that things aren't going to be like they were, they're probably right, but they never are anyhow. The world does keep changing. That is truly the only constant. And we can't go back, but we can go forward. A great way ahead. If this goes, it's only, again, like Molly said, we have all spent a good time researching and thinking about this. You don't always see that in discussions, as I've said, the way they're structured, but it's not been a rushed decision.
The-
President, I just have one thing to say.
Okay.
need to speak up, can't hear.
Like the rest of the board members have said, we've spent a lot of time going over this process. For the past couple of days, we've researched everything that we can. We've got all the information that's been put out by this company. And this is a very hard decision to make. But sometimes you have to realize that change is good. I'm not saying how this is going to go. I don't know how this is going to go tonight. But if it does, we as the team here are going to hold this company, speak to the fire, that they're going to do what they said they're going to do. And the first thing is to take care of you. That's our main concern, is for this company just to take care of you. And that's the bottom line. And get the job done. And I just think everything is going to be okay. I really do. I'm feeling good about this. This is good forward.
Everybody in the room is important to the district, and I want everybody to know that. Everybody, this is a tough decision for the board because all of our employees are very, very important. What we're challenged to do is to educate the children of this district, and that's our main priority, number one, and will always remain that. Plus the fiscally responsibility that we're challenged with. When we did Chartwell's, it was a little tough, but it ended up being an okay transition. The one thing that you can count on from the board and the superintendent is we're going to hold GCA accountable. We're going to hold them accountable to 100% of our employees. If we start hearing feedback or they cut and pay, then they didn't uphold their end of the bargain. So then bargain over. So you guys are important. We want you to know that. This decision doesn't mean you're not important. I hope you don't take it that way. And we'll look forward to see how the transition goes. And if it goes like we think it's going to go, it's going to be a win. But I want everybody to understand that you people are important. Your years of service are important to the district. And that comes from the heart. Any more discussion? We have a motion on the table. We have a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed? Motion carries. GCA.
I want to take a break. Yeah,
Yep.
I think so.
Take 5 minutes. The only thing I want to say, Steve,
Welcome to the board.
Sometimes you have to make decisions that are for their best, even though they don't think they are.
I am impressed with and have been by the time I've been here thoroughly comfortable with it because, and I didn't feel that way the whole time, but just education.
Well, you weren't here
and the learning.
Thursday either.
Right. I just saw the presentation.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw the
Oh, yeah.
but it just, the way, just feels better.
Yeah. One thing that's not being said is that we went through this with if a company
Framing to an individual contract that was turnkey versus piecemeal. And we had framing crews that were, I had one that worked for me for 10 years. And they were scared to death because they saw it was our money. They knew this work that we could help. We had two vendors that we hired, and they hired 100% of our framing crews. They paid them benefits, they bought them trucks, they bought them equipment. They did the exact same thing that these guys promised to do. And I still to this day, we had a vendor party about 3 weeks ago at our office, and those guys were coming up to me, and they still remember, when they worked for me. But they went through this, and they were so appreciative because they got retired. Some of these guys actually retired, and they were hired on as supervisors for these companies. And I'll tell you, I would have never had this opportunity. I would have never had healthcare. And so, I see this as some type of decision.
So it starts tomorrow morning. It's critical to make them feel
Yeah.
easy. To make them feel easy.
Yeah, all I got to say is that you guys need to have enough people there and be able to answer those questions and give them the attention that they're gonna need. And I'm not sure how you structure this, but I've been involved privately in restructuring, and it's not easy then. But I know that one of the things that helped make it through was the fact that there was people there that cared, and they really showed that they cared. And they showed them the benefits, they showed them the value and what they're changed. I'm assuming your HR people probably do that, but I don't want to see lines and lines of people standing there with no answers and frustrations. So, and I think
Probably
that. You've done it before.
Probably a critical time.
And
no matter what it is, even if it's before, it was previous company before, it's never easy because there's that doubt in your mind.
And the references that I talked to, they said that there was some challenges during that transition. I mean, there's people that they get up and they're just pissed.
It's tough as hard when you're dealing with people's emotions.
Right.
And they sit there and understand what's going on, those things buy in.
I'm trusting that you've got that process in place. I mean, I can't oversee it. Yeah. I know that he carries I'm not as big as him, but I'm like a little dog. I can bark pretty loud too. So. He's a big dog. I'm the little dog. Thank you for your comments.
Go back to the order now.
I thought it was okay. It wasn't that bad.
You want to go back to the order?
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to go to,
Item 4A.
That was my thought too. I wondered how many people
Ashley to take some notes from Molly. It's gonna be good. Conference a little bit, man. Something
Oh, but thank you for stopping and saying so, and we'll be thinking of you.
Okay, thanks for hanging in there with us. We are going to move forward with our action items. We're going to go back to A, and it's going to be looking at canceling the July meeting. Steve, got anything to say about it?
yeah, we've talked to the team, you've talked to Sam mainly, because financials are usually the main thing, but with vacations and everything, we feel like we're gonna be okay, not having the regular July board meeting. So that'll be our recommendation at this time, and would ask for your motion accordingly. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to cancel the July 15th meeting. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. We will now move to the Student Code of Conduct. Ms. Camille Smith.
Good evening.
Sorry.
Not joking.
Sorry.
Just go for it.
I know, I'm trying.
What would you like me to read?
Would you read that,
I
please?
would. I recommend the board approve the 2014-15 BISD Student Code of Conduct as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the 2014-15 Student Code of
Stay where you are.
Conduct. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Where is it?
Motion carries. Now we'll move on to the dress and grooming
Same
guidelines.
sentence as dress code. Here we go.
I recommend the board approve the revisions to the 2014-15 BISD dress and grooming guidelines as presented.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the revisions of the 2014-15 BISD dress and grooming guidelines. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Teamwork.
Motion carries. We'll now go to D.
Thank you. Sorry.
Great job.
Thank you.
No problem. We're here as a team. I'm with you. I was going to wait till you asked me to come up and do this.
Jane Pollard, come on up.
At the agenda review meeting, I provided you with the details of the EIC local policy regarding the updates required by House Bill 5 regarding the class ranking processes, including the details of the updates to the valedictorian and salutatorian criteria. If you have no questions, I recommend the board approve the EIC local policy for incoming freshmen for the 14-15 school year as presented.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the revisions of the TASB local EIC. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Motion carries. We'll skip E and we'll move down to the recommendation of the approval of architect services.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you, Ms. Pollard.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. As I mentioned on Thursday night at the agenda review, we had the opportunity to put an RFQ out for architectural services. We received 12 very well-done proposals from 12 firms that are in the K-12 business. We had a committee independently review each of those proposals, and we'd like to recommend the top two, that being Pfluger Associates, a longtime architect for the district, and SHW, a well-known architectural firm who works in this industry and has done some great work. If you've been to any of the TASB conferences, you'll see both Mr. Pfluger's team's work as highly recognized, as well as SHW. It is our belief that having a couple of architects sitting at the table as we look at demographics and long-range planning, you have a couple of options to get good input on future planning, existing facilities, and I want to make sure we're not confusing the public, but we're not talking about any bond elections anytime soon, but you do need to have some discussion and dialogue as we grow down the road and address our demographic concerns.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion to recommend the approved architect services based on the RFQ.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the architect services based on the RFQ. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Six, 6-0.
Yes, sir.
On the information items, they're for information only. The only thing that I would like to say is our own Glenn Peterson is going to be retiring from the post office. How many years, Glenn? 31 years. On July 5th, they're going to have a little get-together down at the old brew house. What's it called now? Neighbors. What time? Nancy, do you mind putting that in a little email and spinning it around? Fireworks, the whole bit. Probably the Peterson brothers will be playing, so be something you won't want to miss if you're in town. The other thing, I think Nancy has got everybody that's going to San Antonio to the leadership conference there. And I got the credit card? Okay. So that's really all we have as far as information. Does anybody else have anything before we convene into closed session? The board will now convene into closed session, a meeting to discuss the following items posted on our agenda this evening allowed by the Texas Government Code 551071 and 551072. That's it. And we will
Go to training room 1.
We'll be back. Training room 1.
To make quick claim conveyance of lots 420 and 421, Block 25, Unit 3, Tahitian Village, to Daniel and Connie Beck.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the motion
As presented.
as presented by Mr. Mix, Dr. Mix, excuse me. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. And adjourn.